My name is Dominic Adida. I represent the Uganda Consortium on Corporate Accountability. We are a civil society coalition with members across the country. We bring together members that deal with issues of business and human rights. We try to promote corporate accountability and the overall respect of human rights in the conduct of business. My expectation from this convening were largely to learn and get knowledge from like-minded organizations around the work that they're doing on business and human rights, to try to share approaches that we have actually all employed in trying to deal with violations in the business and human rights and corporate accountability field, and on a range of various projects in the mining sector, in the infrastructure sector, in the environment protection, and other sectors. What stood out for me from this learning convening were the creative approaches that have been used by the various organizations in trying to promote the respect of human rights in the conduct of business. I was particularly impressed by the grassroots women who are trying to ensure that they adhere to good practices in artisanal mining, the use of borax instead of mercury. And I was also impressed by the various approaches that all the other organizations are using to ensure the respect of human rights in the conduct of business, trying to use community-led approaches that bring out the community voice in the promotion and respect of human rights in the conduct of business. What I would say about the learning convening is that it is a fantastic platform for engagement and sharing and learning among the various actors that work on corporate accountability and general business and human rights issues. It is a platform where we can always learn from each other, share approaches, learn from the successes of others, but more importantly, have collective solutions on how we can address those issues that are really maybe challenging in our collective goal of ensuring the respect of human rights in the conduct of business.
My name is John Ngabaralo. I am representing Man-African Club. Currently, we are deepening community action against industrial pollution in Kawempe Division in central Uganda. The key problems that motivated us to engage in this work include especially factories in Kawempe Division being established in prohibited areas, and these include congested residential areas where you find factories are right at the doorsteps and verandas of homesteads, and these homesteads are usually of vulnerable poor people. We also have a lot of factories in the Kawempe Division that are established in congested commercial places, whereby you find after a shop, next is a factory. We also have factories in Kawempe Division that are established in wetlands, contaminating community water sources. These pose a danger of waterborne related illnesses, and the communities were concerned and raising their voices, and we came in to support these voices for action or intervention from the government regulatory institutions, especially KCCA. Approaches we have been using are mainly threefold. One is community empowerment, because we discovered that whereas the communities knew something about generally that they were being affected in terms of poor environment that brings the illnesses because of air pollution, for instance, water contamination, but they did not have scientific information. So we came in to support them with the scientific information, whereby we carried out some research in collaboration with the institutions such as Makerere University, and this has empowered them with information which they have used to advocate for their rights. Number two, we have supported these communities to make homo petitions to KCCA. And 3, we have supported these communities to amplify their voices in the national media. The impact of our work, 1, a factory in Kirokole zone relocated because of the community pressure. There is also a factory called Luka also in Kirokole, which stopped noise pollution as a result of the community activism. Then another factory in Hianja zone stopped emission of chemical gases that they were spreading in the breeze. What I would tell anyone listening to me is that the approach of community empowerment works, because we have seen factories respond. Some haven't responded, but we see some shift in the way they have been acting in terms of polluting the environment. I also would want to say that this community activism is enshrined in the law. Article 20, Clause 2 allows us to ask for accountability from government on human rights protection. So we are protected by the law. It is our right, and community activism works, because in Kawepe division, we have seen some changes beginning to happen in regard to industrial pollution by factories.
I'm Kagwe Robina, and I work with Voices for Labor as an executive director. And currently we are working on protection of temporary agency workers in central Uganda. And we are particularly focusing on 2 industrial parks, that is Namamve and Kampala Industrial Park. The gap that made us to delve into this work was that we discovered that temporary agency work is on the rise, and it's a new form of work arrangement that is being used by employers, and yet it's highly deregulated. There's no regulation for it, and it is tainted with very many decent work deficits. Workers working under this type of arrangement are working under what I would call vulnerable employment or precarious employment. The first strategy was conducting an action-based research within the 2 industrial parks. And then the findings of that research made us to undertake a stakeholder engagement with trade unions and other civil society organizations. And through that stakeholder engagement, we were able to come up with some joint action plans, but also we continued with empowerment sessions and the stakeholder engagement. And we were also able to carry out a paralegal training for some of the temporary agency workers to empower them to know their rights and to hold employers liable for the labor rights violations. One of the stories is that I would share it from one of the trade unions that attended our stakeholder engagement meetings and capacity building. This union was able to negotiate recently a collective bargaining agreement with one of the employer, and in that collective bargaining agreement, there is now a chapter on a protective chapter that extends rights to temporary agency workers. And to us, that is an achievement, because we know that when collective bargaining agreements are signed between trade unions and employers, they become more binding, they supersede an employment contract, and they become part of the law. So for us, that is a success story. One word I would convey to the agency workers is that they're not alone. There are organizations there that can help them to fight for their rights, but also, even if the law is still deregulated, we still have other mechanisms that we can use to protect them, because at the end of the day, they remain workers, and the Constitution protects all workers without distinction. So there is still hope, and we are, as an organization, we are here to offer them free legal aid in the event that their labor rights are violated.
My name is Godfrey Kalulu Mutema. I work with Platform for Labor Action. I'm based in Iganga, and we work on labor rights. Actually, the problem that we have in Uganda is general abuse of workers' rights across all sectors of employment. The strategy we are using in regards to general abuse of workers' rights is to train a few workers so that they can be champions to fellow workers, champions to themselves, and also be able to guide fellow workers to offices where they can get redress. So we are able to pick a few workers, train them on their general workers' rights, link them to offices where they can access remedy so that they are able to be the champions of workers' rights, be able to guide those workers whose rights have been violated, and remain in a place to keep on continuous awareness on workers' rights. There are many interesting stories when it comes to the work we have been doing, but what I can share at the moment is what we encountered at around Tembo when we are doing our work. Doing the mapping and the training of these casual workers, we realized that some workers, especially security guards, they could be sourced, given employment, but the company that was giving them employment could take away their national IDs. And they could use that to abuse their rights at work. They could not pay them in time, or actually not pay them. And even when they want to go back, they could not go back because the company refused to give them their national IDs. But after engagement with the labor officer, the company, they were able to realize it is an abuse, one. And at the moment, as I can say, those workers, they were able to get back their national IDs, and even the company stopped taking national IDs from any employee. Currently, I should give to all employees, all workers, whether you have an employment contract written, whether you have a verbal agreement. If there is any abuse that comes up, please don't keep quiet. Many abuses continue because of our silence. You should come out and speak out. Every district has a labor officer, at least that should be your starting point as an employee.
My name is Rosina Tulinda. I represent Global Rights Alert, and we've been working on the rights of children in the mines. What drove us to do this kind of work is that the unfortunate conditions that we saw in the mines, children roaming around instead of being in school, meaning there are so many other rights that are being affected. The right to education, the right to health, but also they're exposed to so many dangers that happen in the mines. They find themselves in sexual activity, really, when they are not of age, but also they get exposed to all sorts of substances, the abuse of alcohol, the abuse of substances like drugs. So they end up really affecting their health so much, and they jeopardize their future, really. And one of our approaches we've been using, and which has proved successful, is community empowerment. When we teach these children what they should do, the dangers that they get to expose themselves to as they work, then they get to appreciate the bad that is in what they are doing, but also their parents, really, who encourage them to be in the mines. There are communities that employ them in the mines instead of providing for them avenues that really would improve their future. Then what we've seen come through is that the community are actually rising up, asking their leaders, who are supposed to be holding them accountable, enforcing the laws. We've seen them write petitions, questioning them. Why is this happening? Why are you looking on? Police, which is supposed to be arresting such people, the parents whose children are falling in the mines, they start and question them. One thing I would really encourage every one of us to do is embrace the effort of protecting a child. Protect their future. They are the future leaders. The future belongs to them, really. Give them the right that they need so that they can have a better future, better than what we have right now. So one important word that I have for everyone that is listening to me, when we're talking about the rights of children, it's very much important we talk with them, work out with them. They have information and they have brilliant ideas. Work with them, listen to what is affecting them, what is taking them to the mines. Then they're able to be part of the solution, the challenges that they're facing.
Hi, my name is Priska Kajumba and I work with Fridays for Future Uganda. Fridays for Future Uganda is a youth-led climate action group that works on the thematic areas of youth capacity building, climate action, and we work with communities, frontline communities that have been affected by climate change, but have also been affected by multinational corporations. And currently we've been working in Greater Masaka, specifically in the communities of Kiringeti in Impigi. And these communities reached out to us to tell us their grievances of their wetland that was being polluted by a Chinese company. And some of the strategies that we've been using in this community is listening to the concerns of people, picking evidences, and training human rights environmental defenders and community CBOs so that they are able to advocate for their rights and hold these polluters accountable. And we have received some success stories. Some of the women from the farmers groups have been able to send out their stories in news outlets, to reach out to the wider community through radio shows and TVs, to tell people of the grievances and the strategies with which they can hold such corporations accountable. And one thing that I would like to put out there is that communities have the power, and if their capacity is built, they can be able to hold these rich polluters accountable.
Aaron Chiza is my name. I represent the Environment Shield as a CEO, and we have been undertaking a project of plastic pollution in Kampala, whereby we went around documenting, photographing, and analyzing the issues relating to plastic pollution in Kampala, the legal framework, policy framework, the institutional framework, and how companies are degrading the environment, polluting the environment. We photographed, we captured the scenes of environmental degradation, we analyzed the law, and we discussed and gave our recommendations. So we saw Kampala choking on plastic pollution. Our wetlands were suffocated with plastics, our channels were choking on plastics, and we had to be triggered and go into the field and collect that evidence, analyze that data, weigh it against the existing legal and institutional framework. And yes, that is what really triggered us, so that we come and report about what's happening and see whether it aligns with the law or is in defiance of the law. And we found it was the latter case. So we used documentation, strategic advocacy, we used documentation, and of course we planned some strategic litigation, which we have not done in that specific area. But the thing that made a real difference was photography and videography, because it drew attention of the community, and there was some backlash, and the regulator acted on some of the cases we worked on. So there was this story in Butabika. There we showed the plastic pollution, and like after 1 week, the scene of destruction, the scene of pollution was sparkling clean. And I think that encouraged us to know that our efforts are not useless. Once you capture it, once you freeze it and report it to the regulator, or you expose it in public, sometimes it gets worked on. For the people who are listening to me, for people who are watching me, your efforts matter. Do not give up. Mind the environment, steward it. It helps. God is very happy with the work you're doing, so continue doing it. Don't give it up.
My name is Ruth Nagaja. I work with Advocates for Natural Resources and Development, which is also known as ANADE. We work in 3 major pillars. That is legal aid, extractive industry, and nature conservation. So under the Corporate Accountability Fund, we were given funding concerning to support a community in Karamoja region that is addressing the plight of marginalized groups in a Judic mining site. We identified a number of marginalized groups, that is the women, the children, elders, artisanal miners, who we found that there was a gap in terms of their rights. They didn't know their rights that they were operating under. So we found because of this gap, their rights were being abused, they were being encroached on, their lands were being encroached on, their way of livelihood was being frustrated because some of these mining companies were taking over their spaces that affecting their way of livelihood. We find gender inequalities within there, where men are given more payment than the women. We find that disformalization of artisanal miners. So despite the law in place encouraging formalization of artisanal mining, we find that gap within this community because they either do not know what to do, they're ignorant, or they don't have the funds to do it. So the strategy was, how do we use the community themselves by having an intervention where they take lead, present a petition before the district and the company of the issues they're having and how they can be resolved, and advocating for their rights, and also equipping them with a skill on how to monitor on their rights, on how to report where there are issues they're not comfortable with. So that was the strategy of the project that we're working on. So we had an opportunity to do a community outreach in this area, this sub-county, Nanyidik mining community. There was a parish chief within that area that introduced us to a number of women. These are elderly women, the women who have been in this business since they were born, since their childhood. It's all they know what to do. They don't know any other thing that can sustain them. These women were crying out and they were saying, as of now, we do not have where to work because they have fenced off our area. Yet we were told that this area was demarcated for us. Where do we start? These areas even had their culture sites and graveyards. But these areas were fenced off. There were even the place that has the borehole where they get water from was fenced off. And they were crying and were like, where do we start from? What do we do? How do we survive this? So for us, it was a timely place, or should I say it was the best time for us to come in. It was a miracle for them that they finally got someone, because they said they had cried out to the elders within the community and nothing. The community was not acting. You see the issues that we have with these companies. They have people they listen to. And then there are other people within the grassroots communities that they don't give an ear for. Or they will promise, we are going to do something about it. Before you know, there are 3 months, 4 months, 5, and nothing is being done. So we gave these people a platform. In fact, the parish chief of Nanyidik is the one that took lead in the presentation of the petition when we had the key stakeholder meeting and presented these issues before the district local government officer of Moroto. We had the cow present, we had the RDC, we had the district natural resource officer present, we had the environmental officer, we had the CBOs, and we had different CSOs, media, and mining associations present. So when these petitions were put before these key stakeholders, they immediately promised an intervention, which the cow himself said immediately, as of the week that was following the petition, that he was to visit the site and have this issue resolved immediately. This was a major platform for these ladies. And also, we have gone a second step to even organize a community baraza. Now we are going to hold in November, where we shall take these issues back to the company within their operating site, so we can see that their issues are being addressed. They have been given a platform that they didn't have before. Thanks to this fund, these guys are now aware of their rights. They have been given a platform. They have been put in the limelight, and there is now conversations on how we can resolve these issues, which for us was a major milestone, because they were caught up in a box. They were piling so much that was going on, and they didn't know how to resolve them. But thanks to this fund, these things were aired out, and now we are in a phase of mitigating how all key stakeholders involved can be able to operate where all rights are being observed. One word of encouragement is not to give up. And not to give up, the battle is still on. I think we are somewhere. The fact that now we have artisanal mining being regulated, that is a first step. We have laws that are following, that are supporting artisanal miners. So now what we have to do is to support the marginalized groups in artisanal mining to ensure that their practices are being formalized. How can we support them financially? How can we continue creating awareness concerning their rights? With this in mind, it is just the beginning and it is working. We have seen communities in the conference that we've had where this is working, and you can see they're being given licenses now, small-scale licenses. An example is the Muvende United Women Association, and we believe this can also work in Moroto. So this is a start. We're just beginning, and we have hope that better can be done.